guys? In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the topic of feigning happiness, which I've definitely hit on in previous videos, but I wanted to go more in depth of it, just what was on my mind, especially recently. I've just been dealing with stuff and I wanted to talk about it a little more. So there's a lot of reasons why, at least me personally, I pretend to be happy in situations. And some of these reasons are positive, I think, but most of them are probably negative. Most of them probably mean I need help. And I guess I'm just going to go through those, talk about them briefly, and call it a day. So the main reason I usually am pretending to be happy is because it's just easier. It's easier than getting into it with someone as to why I'm unhappy or explaining to them why I'm not in a good mood or explaining why even while I'm doing something that should be fun, I'm not enjoying myself. It also makes it a lot easier to pretend to be happy than it does to be honest and potentially hurt someone's feelings, which that's one of those where I'm sure most of it's probably negative. I should be honest with myself and honest with the people around me about whether I'm happy or not. But at the same time, there's situations where pretending to be happy is really the best choice, I think. Like if you're out at an event that's meant to be fun for everyone, like a birthday party or something, pretending to be happy, I would think, is a lot better than not being happy, like actively not being happy while you're at an event that everyone else is enjoying. Another big reason I pretend to be happy is I don't want to scare people away. Like, I don't want to get into topics that are too dark or too upsetting with someone I might not know well enough, or someone that I don't believe will understand the situation I'm going through or understand why I'm unhappy if I try to explain it to them. So that's a very big thing for me, is kind of knowing that if I get into it with a person, they might think of me differently or something like that. And then a lot of pretending to be happy just has to do with the social norms of a situation and fit it in with everyone else. Just like I've kind of hit on it with my last 2 points, but pretty much just pretending to be happy because that's what you're supposed to do, or pretending to be happy because, people are supposed to generally be happy, which I'm not. I'm not a person, like when people say, like, sometimes I've been asked point blank, like, are you a sad person? And the truth is probably, yeah. Like, sad more often than I'm not, and yes, some of that is probably very negative and means I need help, but a lot of it is just who I am. I'm not a type of person that is filled with, like, laughter and joy. I'm not a very emotive person or anything like that, and I'm comfortable with that for the most part. But I think a lot of, like, the pretending to be happy based on a social situation, or pretending to be happy so that you could be in a certain friend group or be around a certain group of people, is, again, probably a negative. Most of these are probably negatives, and the ones I think are positives might also be negatives. But I don't think any of this is really that different than what other people are doing, most likely. I think a lot of people are going through very similar things as far as pretending to be happy. So those are, like, the main reasons why I pretend to be happy, and I think it's a lot of the same reasons that other people most likely feign being happy. But one of the big things that I think for me is a reason I try to not admit that I'm unhappy is because I don't want to admit that I'm unhappy. Like, to myself, I don't want to really believe that, this is an issue and you should be happy and you need help kind of thing. A lot of it is I'd rather just act like it's a normal thing and that everyone kind of goes through it and I'm going through it and it's fine. Or just make excuses as to, like, oh, if I pretend to be happy, then I'll just become happier, which is something that I've read about and things like that. And I think that there's some situations where, yeah, if you go into a situation or an event or an activity with a happy, positive attitude, you're far more likely to enjoy that event or activity, whatever it may be, than you would if you went into it with a negative, unhappy attitude. So that's probably one of the more positive examples of what I've talked about so far, is that going into things with a positive outlook is pretty much the only way there could ever really be positive result, because if you go in with a negative attitude, there's pretty much next to no possibility of you having anything other than a negative result. But with that being said, I still think that me kind of making the excuse that everyone feels this way and that it's normal to pretend to be unhappy and things like that is probably wrong. And one of the ways I'm trying to work on this with myself is I'm trying to force myself to talk to people more and be more open and honest about this, which does kind of suck because, it's very revealing. It makes me vulnerable and all that. But I'm trying. It's kind of like a first step kind of thing. One of the things I'm learning very quickly is I probably do need to find other people to talk to. I kind of have certain friends I vent to a lot more than others, and I'm sure by now they're probably getting sick of hearing me be generally unhappy all the time. And realistically, I probably should get actual help, and that's, something I always recommend to people if they're having if they're struggling with something, go get real help. With me, I know I should practice what I preach, all that kind of stuff, but in reality, the prospect of going through like finding a therapist and trying to open up to them and create a rapport with them and all that just seems so daunting. And in the past, like having a therapist and stuff is just something that's always felt so like fake and empty to me personally. I don't think it is I think it's a very positive thing for most people, but for me personally, like talking about how I feel to a therapist or whatever just has never really helped me. A lot of it was just I would go and I would be honest, but I wasn't getting anything out of it besides just speaking. So it's something I kind of stopped doing. But with that, I don't know. It's probably something I should look into more. Another big reason I don't is just because it'd be such a pain in the neck to explain to my family why I need to go looking for a therapist. It'd be the kind of thing where my parents, for the most part, leave me on my own. They let me be an adult and do what I do, and I just touch base with them. But when it comes to things like that, I know how to get is in terms of they're going to want to ask questions and constantly ask questions throughout the whole time. It'll concern them, it'll worry them, and it's one of those things that if I somehow could figure out a way to do it without them knowing, it'd be awesome and a lot easier. I just don't know what the possibility that is. It's something I'll probably look into closer to when I'm graduating and stuff, because right now with school and everything, I just feel like I don't have the time or ability to go get serious help. I don't have a car. I'm busy with classes, things like that. But pretty much my idea is I'll stick it out for the semester. Sure I'll be fine. I'll be happy. Do things that'll hopefully make me happy. And once I graduate, maybe we'll look into something more serious. But on that note, very, very dark. Please don't feel concerned about me if you're listening to this and oh shit, this guy needs help. I promise I'm fine. I have lots of friends and stuff, and a lot of people that I talk to that I care enough about that I would never do anything drastic or bad to myself. This is just me venting, using this as a platform to talk about how I feel. So, don't just go freaking out over the things I've been saying. But in any case, I'm going to wrap it up here and call it a day. But as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.